Hi, welcome and welcome back to the channel, just in case you have returned. My name's Oliver. My wife Pam and I love to travel. We've been traveling since pretty much the day we met, and when we were blessed with a beautiful baby, we decided to keep on traveling. So this video is the first one where I'm going to try and take all the random footage I took when I was traveling and basically show you what we got up to. So this trip is all about Rome and how, quite honestly, it was a pain in the nappy. But as I go, I will call out the real horrors that happened. So this was just a 4-night trip to Rome. There's a video coming up about the last cruise we did, and we basically got to the port nearest Rome, and everyone else was going, we're going to go for a day out in Rome, and we thought, yes, we'll do that. And we got to the point where we were thinking, well, should we get off the boat or not? And yeah, we looked at the time and went, you know what, an hour into town, we'll get an hour there and then have to come back, because you've got to allow for whatever, in case there's problems when you come back on your way back. So we just decided, let's just relax. And then because we realised, every 25 years in Rome, the Holy Door at St. Peter's is opened. Big old important thing for Catholics. And we thought, wow, we've missed that. You know what, let's book a trip in November, the weather's still nice, and just go and enjoy a few nights in Rome, and actually enjoy, because we love Rome a lot. We visited several times before little one, and with a baby, it's a whole different experience. So, because this wasn't really a trip we'd saved up for or anything like that, we unfortunately were kind of like, well, it's going to be a budget. So shopped around, and in the description will be a link to the hotel. Got it through Expedia with flights as a bundle. Flew from Gatwick, really nice and easy. We booked the most central hotel we could with breakfast included, a decent-ish family room on a budget. We flew from Gatwick because it's nearest to us. We booked a fairly early flight for what we thought of, and as I said, we were aiming for the Holy Door, but we also booked what's called a Roma pass. And I'll talk in a little bit more depth at the end about what a Roma pass includes, but you can get these in a lot of cities around the world, passes that include metro travel, subway travel, buses, etc., and entry to some museums and some important landmarks. Looking online at different types of these passes, there's a couple of different ones for Rome, but the Roma pass covers the ancient Roman monuments and gives you your bus ticket, metro ticket when you're there, so you can get around transit. And it also supposedly includes some access to some other facilities as well, which didn't necessarily work out as well, but I'll come to that. We stayed in Hotel Villa della Rose. I'll put them, it's in the description, there's a link, but I'll also put, hopefully you'll be seeing a picture of the hotel. The breakfast in the hotel consisted of what the British audience would call a continental breakfast, and our American audience, I think, calls it a similar thing. You've got your hams, your cheeses, your pastries, yogurt, cereal, milk, and coffee, tea, all these things are just available for you to ask for. The staff were brilliant. The ambience in the room was lovely. It was a traditional, old, proper, very sort of traditional Italian hotel. The type of place where, as you go in and out, you hand back your key. That were fine. The staff were brilliant with us. They made sure we felt welcome. They made sure that we got looked after. The room like a couple of hotels we've stayed in the past in Rome, was a little bit dated, but perfectly serviceable. It was clean, it was tidy, everything had been looked after, everything was well maintained. No problem at all with the room, it was perfectly functional for what we needed. The elevator in the hotel was a touch small, so we had to do separate journeys with the pushchair and baby to with the luggage. A bit annoying. The location of the hotel is very near to Termini station, the central train station in Rome. For us as a family visiting, you've got easy access to the metro, you've got easy access to buses, but Rome is a very pedestrian city anyway, where often you'll look on Google Maps and say how quick to get on public transport to this place, how quick to walk it, and walking it will be pretty much the same time. It's just the difference in shoe leather. So being near the public transport links was useful in theory, but with Rome, just being central was the important part for us. But when we arrived, it was nice to just walk out the train station and there was the hotel. Plus, you've got the station, you've got lots of restaurants and places nearby to eat. Very good for that. The negatives, the stairs outside the hotel weren't a massive problem, except every day going out and coming in, we had to carry the pushchair up the stairs. It was annoying, but not a major problem. Just a thing to be aware of with this particular hotel, if you come one way, you're going past a church that seems to have some sort of homeless drop-in thing going on, and there's some graffiti and it feels a bit rough. It's the only way I can put it. It feels a bit rough and ready just coming on one road. Every other route you can approach this hotel was fine and was beautiful and was lovely. And actually wandering around of an evening, if we avoided just going in one particular direction, it actually felt like quite a nice area. That's it. If that's the worst you can say is, oh, well, someone's doing something good at the end of the street and it means there's some sketchy looking people stood there. That's the least of your worries. I wouldn't worry about that. Now the journey out. This was not our first time flying with little one. This was, however, the first time that I hadn't paid for the upgrade with EasyJet to have lots of cabin bags, because we thought we didn't need it. What we didn't realise, I will get onto in a little bit. When we booked this, we booked the long stay car park at Gatwick, because we know from experience it's perfectly fine. You park, you get in your bus, you're there at the terminal. It's very easy to get there, it's very easy to park, it's very easy, we've done it before, including with the little one, and the buses are always roomy, there's always enough room for the pushchair and suitcases. So that we thought, great, we'll just do that again. And a couple of days later, I got an email through going, special deal, why don't you try the mid-stay? Now the mid-stay is a drive it in yourself, park it yourself, and walk straight into the terminal hotel, car park where you walk through one of the hotels. It is cheaper for the period of time than the short stay, but more expensive than the long stay normally. And I think it was £10 to upgrade. So, you know what, let's give this a try. My big criticism is how well signposted it is. Look on Google Maps, really study where it is, and don't drive all the way around through North Terminal if you're doing North Terminal's mid-stay. On the plus side, we parked, we walked, we were in the terminal. It was very easy. The bad parts of that day, I mean, these bad parts are all on me for that day. We had booked a moderately early flight. I will be putting the time up of the flight we booked out, thinking, well, we're not far, so we can just get up cray early, get ourselves together, jump in the car, and away we go. We should have either got up a little bit earlier or stopped in a hotel at the airport, because it got to the point where we had so much of a rush. As soon as we got through security, we were pretty much heading to the gate. Not the best. What's nice when you fly is there is, in most airports, a family route through security for people with disabilities and for people with pushchairs. What's nice about the family route is they are expecting you to come through security with baby paraphernalia, with a flask full of hot water. It's nice that Gatwick no longer has the 125ml limits, and also because you're coming the family route, they're expecting flasks of hot water, they're expecting formula, they're expecting these things that you will need for your baby. There already were rules on, you can bring baby formula, enough for your flight, you can bring all these things. So my recommendation is, yeah, make use of that. Bring enough for your flight, bring enough for if your flight's delayed. And that, we've not had this problem, but we've seen people, we've heard tell of people, we witnessed people who've been on flights that were delayed, and it just leads to a little bit of nervousness. Do I have enough nappies? Do I have enough formula? Do I have enough? So bring some extra just in case, honestly. Here's where we hit the snag because we didn't book with EasyJet, it's the speedy boarding. We thought, well, we kind of get speedy boarding because we're a family. They give priority to families and the people who book speedy boarding. We're down there just about to board the plane, and our overhead locker size pushchair was taken away from us. Oh no, that has to go in the hold. And we were but it's overhead locker size. Oh yeah, but you didn't book the speedy boarding, which includes overhead locker usage. If they'd warned us as we checked in, hey, yeah, your family, you're not speedy boarding, we're going to nick your pushchair as you're boarding the plane, then I might have said, okay, well, will it be waiting for us at the gate at the other end? Can I pay the upgrade to speedy boarding now? EasyJet, you missed out on upselling us at that point. It's a little frustrating that reading the advice online, I didn't really comprehend this. But there you go, you live and learn. My fault, I maybe should have emailed them and double checked. Hey look, if we just do the family and not the speedy, what gives? The previous time, which will be in a future video, just to confuse you all, I booked the speedy boarding just because I didn't want to have to worry about the size of the nappy bag, my carry-on bag, etc. I just wanted to be able to put them in the overhead locker, not worry about it. What this meant when we got to Rome, we had to carry little one through to where the baggage reclaim was and get our suitcases and find the place where they had put the pushchairs. Thankfully our pushchair was there, which is all well and all good, you know. It would have been annoying if it hadn't been. And all our suitcases turned up and we had everything. It was fine in the end, but meant we had to carry little one for a while. If you, like us, are doing this kind of trip and you don't want to be separated from your pushchair, check what the airline's rules are and be very, very careful to make sure that you know exactly what will happen. Don't assume because it says nappy bag can come with you and go in the overhead lockers, that means you're good for the pushchair as well, if it's an overhead locker size. Also, if you're kind of going, well, I'm not going to pay the extra just so I can keep my pushchair with me, I would very much rather save the money. My advice, carry one of those baby carriers. If your child's small enough to go in one, take one of those, use that. Makes life really, really easy. Having been to Rome before, the best, quickest way into the city, and it's really, really affordable, price on screen now, as of the date of recording, the Leonardo Express. This is a direct train from Rome Airport to Rome Termini. It also stops a couple of places en route. It's quick, it's easy, it's always fairly busy because it's a quick shuttle into the city. There's equivalent ones in the UK, Gatwick Express, Heathrow Express, but Leonardo Express is a brilliant way of just getting quickly from the airport into town and vice versa. There's toilets on board, there's seats on board, there's places for your luggage. It's set up for this task of getting everyone from middle of Rome to the airport or airport to middle of Rome. Travel day completed. We're there, we're in Rome, we're in this beautiful city. We found our hotel. We've been slightly disturbed by the sketchy looking people at the end of the road. We then set out for dinner, just round the corner from the hotel, going a different route just to make sure that we hadn't put ourselves in a bad area really. And we came across Lima Bistro off Via Solferino. Please, everyone in Italy, I'm sorry for my pronunciation. On screen I will have put the details. The food was lovely. The staff were very attentive. They brought a high chair over. This is what you expect in Rome. Italians are very family focused, family friendly. Even in a young, friendly looking restaurant, expect them to be baby, parents, right? Sit, enjoy, unhurried service. They are very, very kind and very generous with their time when it's families. Having just talked about the journey out, I'm going to kind of cut to the end a little bit by talking about the journey home. On our way home, I know Gatwick Airport. I know that in either of the terminals you can have quite a walk to get to security. So I just cracked the day before, went online and added speedy boarding so we can just take the pushchair on, put it in the overhead lockers, done. The final day, woke up, had breakfast, went for a mooch around the area, lunch in the airport, Leonardo Express back, and that upgrade just meant baby and pushchair out through the airport. That half-hour walk, 40-minute walk it feels like, hour walk it feels like in Gatwick, to security and passport control and baggage reclaim and all the rest of it, was just really, really easy. Again, Rome has a family line for security. Worth using that if you're going with a pushchair, because again, they know what, they'll help you very carefully. They'll tell you exactly what you need to take off. They'll tell you when, oh look, you leave the rattles in the bottom. We can see they're just rattles. Fine. The beauty on the way home, having had that upgrade to the midstay, you walked out of security, no waiting around with buses, none of that. Straight off, straight into the car, off home. Beautiful. Midstay car park, definitely. If you're running on a short trip, go for it. Day one, we woke up full of the joys of Rome, loved the city, beautiful city, etc. And we realised that if we stopped for breakfast, we'd be cutting it fine to get to the first activity of our trip. We had decided that day one should be our day for St. Peter's Basilica. Beautiful, heart of Catholicism. And we decided, well, let's look. Okay, the Holy Door is open, Jubilee year, once every 25 years. Sorry guys, it's probably shut by the time this video makes it through the editing process and comes out. So, great. Let's do it the pilgrimage route, because then we get to cut through security a little bit. And we get to do it as more of a thing with prayers and meditations as we go through this Holy Door as part of this Jubilee year that they've opened. Great. Having got the Roma pass, we thought, ideal, we'll just get the bus, save our legs, get there in plenty of time, do the start of the pilgrimage, register. Fine. We arrived at the bus stop. plenty of time for the bus. Time for the bus came, time for the bus went. Time for the bus after it came, time for the bus after it went. We're there, we're like, we've been here half an hour. We're going to be cutting it fine now to get to the slot we got for the pilgrimage. So we went and got a taxi instead. And the taxi driver dropped us off as close as he could do, helped us out with the pushchair, helped us get ourselves oriented. Brilliant. Not that this information is useful to anyone now, because in 25 years I'm sure they'll have a different system. But online it implied if you didn't have a pre-registration, you're bang out of luck to go through the pilgrimage route. We turned up, we'd signed in. They didn't even check any of the pre-registration stuff. They didn't check my name. They just handed me some prayer sheets and said, go stand over there. It was a bit... It didn't feel like a very well thought through, well organised thing at this point. Little did I realise there are certain things I just hadn't picked up on or hadn't known about that were going to affect us in a little bit. I have no footage of us doing the pilgrimage because I choose, when we're there doing something that could be considered a religious thing, to be in the moment and to enjoy that moment. Other people were filming everything. I think they'd registered, because if you go as part of a pilgrimage group, you get expressed through the security to get into St. Peter's. I think other people had gone, oh, we can use this as a way of expressing through security without having to pay for the express security lane. In November, on a morning like we were, mid-morning, don't worry about it. There wasn't a queue for the normal entry. There wasn't a queue for the security, for the premium. Quick skip the line. There wasn't a queue. So just rock up, enjoy. If you're not doing it through the express part, because in November it's not peak season. It wasn't too busy. I mean, you can see from the footage that I took inside St. Peter's, it was quite busy in there, but the security checkpoints do have a nice effect of slowing down people getting in there, so it doesn't ever become insane anymore. So we walked down that walking route. It starts, and the sign-in was by Castle Sant'Angelo. You wander up this beautiful road straight towards St. Peter's, stop in front of the churches, say some prayers. It is quite a well, once you're actually doing it, once you're tagging along with another group, if you're only the three of you registered, or you're there as part of a big group who are going through, it's actually quite a nice experience. In 25 years' time, we will probably go and do it again. When you get to the entrance to St. Peter's Basilica, having gone through security, having gone through all of that, you cannot walk into the church itself with a pushchair. Wheelchairs, fine. Pushchairs, I'm there with the pilgrimage group, with the pushchair with the little one in it, and someone stopped me and said, no, you can't go in with the pushchair, you have to go to the pushchair drop, it's free, don't worry about it, and then catch back up with your group. The guy at the pushchair drop was very, very much handing pushchairs back to people and ignored me completely. I'm stood there holding little one, pushchair ready for him to take it, desperately like, I'm missing out here, I want to get through the holy door, rejoin the group. I missed pretty much all of it by the time the guy had pulled his finger out. But just be aware, if you're going to St. Peter's and you've got a little one of pushchair age, maybe take a baby carrier. You might find it a little bit easier just to get in there. Once we're in there, little one, who is ambulatory at this point, definitely enjoyed running around a bit. We didn't let little one just cause mayhem, but you know, small child wants to move around on their own and show off that they've got legs. you either have a child who's screaming because you're holding them to stop them doing that, or you have a child who might be getting in other people's way, and you have to strike that balance. Italy, they're fine with it. They see a child, and all the Italians love a child. They're all very much looking at it going, beautiful child having a good time. We're not gonna say this is a bad thing. So just be aware, if you're bringing a pushchair to St. Peter's, you will have to drop it in the drop. Now you've got some footage, hopefully, of us leaving St. Peter's. St. Peter's behind you, in the middle of the square. Either side there's ways out of the square, as well as the sort of big open entrance at the end. You go out through the left, through the pillars there, up the road there. There's a McDonald's down the road on the right. We didn't stop there for lunch. We stopped at a restaurant called Mancini. Text up on screen. The little high chair. When I was young, going to a local Italian restaurant where my parents were friends with the owner, all the rest of it, they had these wonderful sort of wickery woven chairs, and it was very much that style. If I could have stolen it and brought it home, it was just the cutest little high chair, like old, like amazing. And the staff were really family friendly. They let us order a couple of starters as food for the little one, and it was great. I had a quick glance at the toilets, and it didn't really seem like there was a nappy changing space. It didn't seem that sort of well set up for a family who's got a little one who needs a fresh nappy, and we knew there was a McDonald's up the way. We should have just changed nappies in the restaurant and figured it out. The McDonald's was the busiest, most chaotic McDonald's I have ever been in. Our rule of thumb for nappy changing, as we've travelled, and it's been true in Barcelona, it's been true in London, it's been true in, I'm trying to think other cities where I can actually point at, Starbucks, McDonald's, places like that, they all have some sort of nappy changing facility. They all have a bathroom that's normally moderately clean. I should have realised by the mayhem that was going on at the entrance, the checkpoint on the entrance to the bathroom, where you had to scan your receipt to get into the bathroom to go change, that it was not going to be like that here. I sat there at a table sipping my coffee, the first coffee of the day because of the mayhem of getting out that morning. And McDonald's, why? Pam returned somewhat disturbed. It wasn't clean. It was mayhem in there as everyone was fighting over the toilets that were there. It was one of those things, it started to put a dampener on the holiday. Nappy changing facilities were woeful in this McDonald's. The first time I've ever said that about McDonald's. Sometimes they're not perfect, but they're at least, you can put your changing mat on it, and this time it was to the point where you probably would have been better to just change her on the table out in McDonald's, and people would have been fine with it. So, start of the nappy nightmare. Genuinely the worst experience we've ever had changing a nappy, or up to that point. Wait till part 2 of the nappy nightmare. So we then decided to mosey on back to the hotel, and it's like early afternoon. We thought, it's Rome, let's not risk public transport again, let's just walk back and enjoy. Walking back from St. Peter's towards the main station, there's some really nice sights to see. We had And if you've watched some of my Vive videos, I think there's some footage of this on that, and I'll be putting up some bits of it now. You can easily walk back to from St. Peter's to Castle Sant'Angelo. Genuinely beautiful. It's a great museum to visit, but reading on the website, it was clear the lifts that are in there for people with pushchairs and wheelchairs don't go to every floor. If you've got no choice, and it's a bucket list once in a lifetime trip, or you're bound to where a wheelchair can go, yeah, go ahead and get in there. But we decided we're going to be going back at some point. We'll be going back when the little one is self-mobile without a pushchair at some point. So we didn't go in. What we did do was come back via somewhere that's become a social media hotspot, a little tiramisu dessert place called Two Cups, because they have two different sizes of cup for their tiramisu. Genuinely some of the nicest tiramisu I've had. There's a reason why it's become a social media phenomena, and people are queuing up outside. There's also some really nice gelato just there next to it. And from there we wandered through Piazza Navona. Again, it's one of those places in Rome which you've got to see. In the time of ancient Rome, it was an area where they did chariot races, and you stand in there and go, how did they do chariot races in this long, thin area? And it's because they would have had to turn in the very tight turns at the end. Crash. Very entertaining. In the middle is the Fountain of the Four Rivers. It's beautiful. Next to it there's a church that apparently has some relics for the patron saint of lovers. It's beautiful. There's people selling art. We were warned on a previous visit by one of the people running a restaurant, just keep your eye out, because sometimes pickpockets operate in that area and thieves operate. So like anywhere touristy, just keep your wits about you. But it's beautiful, and there are little slopey cobblestones in places, so where there are steps to get up, you can easily traverse them with a wheelchair and a pushchair. Little one was enjoying the view immensely. It wasn't a quick walk, it was about an hour's walk from there back to the hotel. Rome is one of those cities, just go, I'm going to walk from here to here, you will see some amazing sights. You can see from the Vive videos I put up, there's just some amazing stuff to see, and I've got loads more footage. Went back to the hotel, feet up for an hour, and then decided to go out and get some food, just something quick, because we had a decent lunch, and in the station we found somewhere to just get a toasted cheese sandwich and some chips, and that was enough for dinner for us. Second whole day of Rome. Oh, Rome is beautiful. We made it to breakfast, which set us up for the day nicely. Because we had the Roma pass, I had booked entrance to the Colosseum for a set time, and we weren't that worried because we've wandered around the Colosseum before, but we thought it'd be a nice thing to do. Little one's never been there before, etc. So we wandered from the hotel down towards Colosseum. In the end, saw the queue to get into the Colosseum, and unlike St. Peter's, where it hadn't been that bad, this one was pretty lengthy, and there were lots of people wandering around looking and enjoying. So we decided not to go into the Colosseum, but let little one run around. What was nice is we were able to let little one out the pushchair, and little one was enjoying wandering around, looking, examining the very uneven cobblestones. Your travel pushchairs are normally lightweight for a reason. They've normally got thin wheels, and wasn't the best on the great big, very ancient cobblestones outside the Colosseum and the massive ruts between them. But little one running around on their own, really enjoying seeing them, looking at the birds and the people and all the rest of it. joyful to see. So we spent maybe an hour sat there just enjoying. We then headed to the Forum. Now, if you've got the Roma pass, it covers your entrance to the Colosseum and the Forum. On the website, it sort of says you just need to book entrance for the Colosseum, you don't need to for the rest of the Forum. What it means is you don't need to care about what time's on your entrance for the Colosseum to enter the Forum. You still need to have booked. Because they checked when we were there with our Roma passes, they went, no, we need to see your pre-registration, that you've scheduled to come to the forums as part of the Colosseum Forum thing. Good job that we hadn't gone, no, we're not going to bother with the Colosseum, and we'd actually gone, we'll book in a time just in case we decide to go in. Because if we hadn't, we would have been disappointed then. Once you're in the Forum Hills bit, Palatine Hill bit, where the government of Rome used to be for ancient Rome, and you've got all this beautiful ancient Roman artifacts, some of the paths are wheelchair, pushchair friendly. Others are not. So just bear that in mind when you're moving around. You might find some bits are not so accessible when you've got wheels. We then thought, we're getting peckish now, it's lunchtime. Little one's going to need a nappy change soon. Let's pop and grab a cup of coffee, grab something to eat, maybe pop into the toilets, because there's a cafe in the Palatine Hill Forums area. There isn't nappy changing at that. There is somewhere else in the Forum area. We decided not to go hunting because we knew that there was a tourist information place that we're supposed to, with the Roma pass, get free access to the toilets. That's supposed to all have nappy changing. Nappy Nightmare Part 2. We had our coffee, relaxed at the cafe, wandered out, crossed over. Hopefully there's some footage now of us getting to where the tourist information place is. There's another little bar cafe thing in there, and someone checking and making sure either you've paid for the toilet or you've got your pass to use the toilet. The queue was ridiculous, and it seemed like there's only one or two toilets there, and we just got to the point where, having been stood there in the queue for about half an hour without really moving, we decided that we would just go discreetly into a corner of this courtyardy tourist information area and lay the little one back flat on the pushchair and give them a nappy change there. In Italy, no one even blinked at us. No one looked twice. It was fine. More embarrassing for us, I suspect, than it was for anyone else around us. But just ridiculous that in this modern era, there weren't sufficient facilities for there not to be a massive queue. There wasn't a baby changing easily available at this tourist information. And as part of Roma Pass, they tried to sell you, you're going to get access to these toilets at all the tourist information places. Genuinely, if we bought it just for that, I would have been extremely disappointed. As it is, I'm just extremely disappointed in the lack of facilities, the lack of ability for nappy changing. Off we moved, heading back towards our hotel, and a bit of a windy, lengthy route just to see some more of the ancient Romy bits around. Hopefully I'm putting up more footage of it. Cannot say enough how beautiful Rome is, how the people of Rome are very family friendly, how much love they give to little ones. Because we had the little one, we were going to dinner quite early, and we wandered off, having freshened up at the hotel, and found a place round the corner called the Nazareno. I very much apologise for my pronunciations. I've put it up in text. I've put a picture up on screen of the place, hopefully, if I have a picture of the place. Genuinely, the staff saw us walking by, saw us look at the menu, rushed out, said, come on in, very much, we're very much open. What do you want to eat? What do you fancy? They brought us out. The food was just fantastic. The staff were all just genuinely showing a lot of love to the little one, bringing us out a high chair. Not as cute as the one from the previous day, unfortunately. But when it came to desserts, they just said, come look at the dessert selection, say what you want. When you're travelling with a little one, if people make little one feel welcome, it makes you feel much more welcome. This seems to be, for me, this seems to be something that's just true. And this restaurant, 110% traditional, old school, Roman Italian restaurant. The food was very much traditional food. Lots of Italian, Roman classics. You could tell from the photos on the walls that they'd had it for a long time. They knew what they were doing and they knew how to make you feel welcome. 110%. That place is worth going to. Third day waking up in Rome. And we decided, well, we'll take it a bit easy this morning. Let's just go for a wander, go for a stroll. We hadn't seen the Trevi Fountain yet on this trip. Let's mooch that way, go have a look. And then from that, decide what we're going to do next. Trevi Fountain is one place, if you get up cray early in the morning, which you can do if you've not got a little one, or go very late at night, you will probably find it's not that busy. It is not designed for the sheer number of tourists who rock up every day. They now have marshals to make sure that people go nicely, take their photo, throw their coin, and then wander on. We took our photos without queuing up, without going into the bit right in front. And then we did a bit of shopping, and there's a couple of shops there, and went for a wander. We found a very nice restaurant around the corner for a stop for an afternoon snack. Anavara, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's, if you look where it shows on Google Maps, that place is not there. It's just like empty building. So it's that new. Beautiful, everything pristine, everything lovely. The food, the service, little one wandering around and walking around, and the staff were very happy to have little one walking around. They didn't just get your child out of the way. You know some places, if your child is there moving around, not necessarily being a problem, but just, maybe getting in the way, staff will be saying, but there, no, genuinely, they were fine, they were happy, they cooed over little one a bit as well. Again, tiramisu, really nice. The drinks we had there, really nice. It was just a nice break and not too far from Trevi Fountain and some of the other hotspots. Again, nappy changing out and about. Even this place that's fairly modern, they didn't really have a nappy changing place in the toilets. So again, we're there in Rome and having to get the little one to stand while we took nappies off and put them on down in the nappy changing. Not ideal. And this is a modern city, but it's a very ancient modern city. I'm gonna now kind of give them their due. They've got this ancient city that they're trying to be very modern in, and unfortunately you can't always modify things that much when you want to put in an extra space for baby changing. It's unfortunate, but You've heard me mention the Roma Pass. Let me go into a little bit more detail about what it is. This is the City of Rome's official tourist pass thing. You get either a 48-hour or a 72-hour ticket. With the 48-hour one, it's one museum or historical monument entrance. With the 72-hour, it's two entrances. We had bought the 72-hour pass, and you also get your transport, you also get that entrance I mentioned to the toilets, you also get, if you're going to do more attractions, more places, you get a discount off additional places beyond the one or the two that you've booked. It seems like a good deal, except it didn't work for us this time because we didn't go to more than one attraction that was covered by it, and we bought the 72-hour to cover our whole visit. We didn't end up using public transport at all, and we didn't really get to use the facilities at all. We should have just bought a forum entrance and would have actually been cheaper. Hindsight on these things is always great, but on the run up I thought, let's have a couple of attractions, a couple of entrances. And that third day, when we took it really easy and just wandered to the Trevi Fountain and back and relaxed, that was when we planned to do something else, because there's some museums near to the hotel, and just didn't bother in the end. That's on us really not really needing just a chill out day as part of our holiday. Maybe we should have bought the 48-hour just to cover the Colosseum entrance and give us that public transport. But again, when we tried to use public transport with it, we had such a problem we ended up getting a taxi. I recommend it if you're there for a few days and you want to be able to get around the city and you want to be able to get into these things, and you're going to be very regimented with yourselves on making use of it. I recommend it wholeheartedly for that. But if you're a family and you might skip things, you might change your mind on things when you're there, and you want to be a bit freeform with your trip, maybe think twice. You can be freeform because you have to book. There's a couple of things you have to pre-book, but a lot of the things you can just turn up with your Roma pass, go, hey look, this is my ticket, and you go. But just kind of be a bit aware if you're going to change your mind, if you're not going to bother with going to everything, it may be not for you. The public transport part of it, you don't really need. We walked around a lot and just enjoyed the city, and that's a good way to see Rome, it's just walking around. So, for this trip, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good, Italy, Italians, they love families, they love kids. They will always coo over your children, they will always make your children feel welcome. The food was brilliant. You're in Italy, they love their food. I don't think anyone is willing to upset their family by having bad food. The hotel, its staff, and where it physically was located was really, really good for us to get to things, was for us to be able to walk and see and enjoy. And on that last travel day home, being so close to the station meant we didn't have far to carry our suitcases. That was brilliant. The bad was where we kept having our pushchair removed from us. So that flight out, having our pushchair removed and having to carry the little one when we got to the airport the other end, along with our own carry-on bags. And then at St. Peter's, again, having to dump the pushchair with the pushchair guy who was a bit absent. Us not really making proper use of the Roma pass. I think that's on us though. Not realize, and the location of the hotel, good geographically. that road to the hotel that was a bit grim, and the stairs at the entrance, which I hadn't realised when I was booking. Those two things really, they weren't the best. The ugly of this trip, I can't complain about it enough. Just nappy changing Italy. You're very family friendly, but can we please get some nappy changing tables added to the wall in some of the toilets in restaurants? Can we please, McDonald's, your Rome location near the Vatican, if anyone from McDonald's ever watches this, please do something about that toilet. It was mayhem. The nappy nightmare ruined part of that holiday. So in 10 years' time, when I think back on this holiday, my main memories are going to be being told to go and put the pushchair out the way when I was part of the pilgrimage group, and just the nappy nightmare. So, yes, I recommend going to Rome. Yes, I recommend it wholeheartedly as a place to visit. The people are family friendly. Yes, but be aware, you may want to plan in your day going either back to the hotel for just a nappy check, or just expect you might have to do as we did, an outdoor nappy change at one point. Just have that in mind, that nappy changing isn't so simple. Right. Thank you for watching. Hopefully some of the footage I've put on screen has been beautiful. Like, subscribe, all that goodness, because that'll help this channel out, and it'll help me to know people are actually enjoying these videos. Thank you for watching. There'll be more videos coming soon.